Our investigation. We told you how Libya, after the death of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, was an unstable and dangerous place. But the violence was mostly Libyan on Libyan, people jockeying for power, old scores being settled. In the spring of 2012, that would change. Americans and their allies in Libya found themselves increasingly in the crosshairs. April 6, 2012. A bomb is tossed over the wall of the Benghazi compound. June 6th, an IED is placed on the compound's north gate. No one is injured in either incident. That's not the case 5 days later. June 11th, 2012, a convoy transporting Great Britain's ambassador, Sir Dominic Asquith, is ambushed in Benghazi. He isn't hurt, but two of his security aides are. Lieutenant Colonel Andrew Wood was the U.S. security site team commander in Libya.
Clear that was a terrorist attack.
I actually conducted an investigation a couple of days afterwards, walked the ground, took photographs, examined the vehicle. So they knew what they were doing, and it was definitely an assassination attempt by skilled operators. But as I could see it, I could see the adversary growing stronger, and we were the last thing on their target list.
All told, there have been more than 230 security incidents in Libya in the past year. Ambassador Stevens grows more and more worried and says so in a series of cables sent to Washington, like this one on June 25th, entitled "Libya's Fragile Security Deteriorates as Tribal Rivalries, Power Plays, and Extremism Intensify." He writes, Libyan extremists are, quote, targeting international organizations and foreign interests. That's why Wood and Eric Nordstrom, regional security officer, implored the State Department to keep Wood's SST force in the country beyond its scheduled August departure.
We weren't requesting additional security. We were requesting to keep the security that we had, and that was being taken away.
So you want to keep your team on the ground, the team that was in place already?
Yeah, and my team was only a small part. There was MSD, State Department MSD.
That stands for Mobile Security Detachment Team.
A lot of those are ex-Green Berets, ex-Navy SEALs, excellently trained folks. There were 3 MSD teams when I got on the ground there.
August 5th, 2012, State decides not to keep the SST in Libya. The MSD team is being reduced as well.
Why do you think this request was denied?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, John Bolton.
I think that what was motivating the State Department was that if we had security that would have truly been appropriate, it would have been an admission that conditions on the ground in Libya were not safe. And that would have violated the worldview that this had been an administration success.
August 8th, just 3 days after the State Department pulls the heavy security teams from Benghazi, Ambassador Stevens sends another cable about the, quote, violent incidents that dominated the political landscape. Stevens writes, quote, what we have seen are not random crimes of opportunity, but rather targeted and discriminate attacks. Less than a week later, Lieutenant Colonel Wood and his military site security team would leave the country.
How did you feel about the security situation when you left?
I didn't like it, and I said as much, and my concerns were specifically for Benghazi.
Ambassador Stevens was a great diplomat, and being a great diplomat in a dynamic place like Libya means taking care of lots of different things.
Counsel to the Libyan government, David Tafuri, is a former State Department official who knew Stevens.
Certainly he was concerned about security. He was concerned about some of the developments in Libya. I think he was being a very wise, careful diplomat and taking note of all the things that were happening.
September 11th, 2012. That afternoon, a mob gathers at the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, Egypt. They scale the walls and burn the American flag, angry apparently over an obscure anti-Islam video produced in California. While there's plenty of action in Cairo, all is quiet at the compound in Benghazi. Still, sometime before 6 p.m., Ambassador Stevens sends another cable to the State Department, reporting, quote, growing problems with security in Benghazi, and, quote, growing frustration on part of the local residents with Libyan police and security forces,
These forces, the ambassador writes, are too weak to keep the country secure. A few hours later, he would be murdered.
We weren't there. We just weren't there.
And if you were, could you have protected Ambassador Stevens?
Well, the more guns you have in a firefight, the better chance you have of winning.
What exactly happened on the night of September 11th, 2012 in Benghazi? Greg Palcott has been on the scene. Up next, a timeline of heroism and disaster with new details you haven't heard before.